Hello all, this is George Skaka, and you're listening to the New York Fishing Podcast. So as the push moves on for a saltwater fishing license here in New York State, I've been doing a little digging, trying to find out different things about different things that are said. And I was really surprised this week when I was able to get numbers on Wallop, Breaux. Nowadays, with all this AI stuff, you can find just about anything at any given time. So I'm checking it out, and part of this license issue is they claim that we will get more money from the federal government through the Wallop Breaux tax, which is, I don't want to get too deep, but it's a tax that we all pay 10%. Everything you buy, you pay 10% of a tax. I mention it here a lot, and the reason I do that is because everyone seems to forget it. It kind of gets buried. You don't know when you buy a $200 reel that if you didn't have Wallop Breaux, it would only cost you $180. You just don't know that. So I looked into it, and, one of the claims has always been that if we have more licenses, we're going to get more Wallop Breaux money. And if you read it, that should be the case, I think. It's kind of vague. It's, believe it or not, it's the size of the state, and which I think accounts for 60%, and then the number of licenses accounts for 40%. And they do this calculation. To me, the whole thing is nuts. If whatever your state pays in, your state should get back. That's what I think. I mean, in the case of Alaska, they pay in like $1 million, and then they get back $15 million because the place is so freaking big. I don't think that's fair. But the thing that I noticed was I went back to when we had a fishing license back from 2010 to 2015. If you look at those years, you'd be surprised to see that we actually didn't get more money. If anything, on a percentage, we actually got less money. And now I'm not saying, look, maybe this gets deferred and you don't get the money until years later. I wouldn't know why. But maybe that's what happens. But the question needs to be asked, is this true? Are we getting more money, and how much more are we getting? The other thing I want to bring up about the license is I don't want to talk about the gazillion of reasons why we don't need them. And I can't think of one why we need one or what we're going to get out of it, because right now the Wallop Breaux Fund contributes a huge number. It's $32 million a year we get just from Wallop Breaux. On top of that, there's part of Wallop Breaux is the Sport Fishing Restoration Act. We get another $20 million. Well, at least we got that last year. I'm not sure what we got in years past, but we got $20 million. So we got $50 million last year to put into our fishery. And the thing is, we're not supposed to have double taxation. Everybody tells me, oh, you're crazy. Why even saying it? Well, because it is true. If you look at the Sport Fishing Restoration Act, you're going to see that a big piece of it is to provide access and boating ramp. You see, they had to do boating ramps because they whack you 10% when you go to get fuel down on the water. So, they had to throw the ramps in to justify charging the fuel tax. But think about it. So now we got $52 million over the last, from 2016 to 2015 to 2022. we received over $350 million. $350 million. Now, I ask you, have things improved? Do you have more ramp? Maybe you have one out in the North Fork. KF9 was shut down. And I mean, yeah, now it's open, but $50 million. You and I could do a lot with that money. I don't know what they're doing with it. They brag that they give 20, 30 grand to the team that's trying to clean up the ghost pots in Long Island Sound. Where is all that money going? That's the first question. Second question is, do they really need another 3, 4, 5 million? And are we going to see anything, any improvement? I'm going to say if you can't do it on the 50 million, and again, if you read Wallop Breaux, you're going to see that a big piece of it is access and management and education. Then you look at the sport fishing fund, access, ramps, education. Now you look at the proposed license, ramps, education. My point here is, do not believe in any sense of the word that a license will help our fisheries or give us more access or make it better for us. They will just burn that money the way they burn the 50 million. I don't know what they do with it. Can't imagine 50 million coming to this state every year. And now, look, here's the last thing I'm going to say. There's a huge thing here that no one seems to be really looking at. And that is the fact that the last time we had a license, the industry took a huge freaking hit. And not so much the party and charter boat industry, but the tackle industry and the local tackle industry. They took a huge hit. And especially out east, a lot of people thought they could just go fishing. They found out they had to get a license. They didn't go. That's how it works. It takes 5 years minimum, 5 to 7 years, before you get it back to when you started the license. We don't need the license. I just don't see them doing any good. If they get all that money, why can't we put some into enforcement? Why not? No, they want to make us get a license and then use that money. So look, to me, this is just a money grab. That's it for me regarding the saltwater license issue. So I mentioned before about AI, and I've been doing a lot of digging, and I tell you what, it's amazing that, I don't know if you have much experience with it, but you're going to find it's like a moderate, right? So every answer it gives you, like I was asking about the windmills, it would come back and tell me all these bad things and then say, but don't forget, this is for the overall good of the earth and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, I want the facts. I don't care what you think. I mean, every single thing. There's a new one. It's called Bard, and that is the Google AI. And I'm telling you, this thing is programmed to never say a bad thing about anybody. Unless, of course, you know how to you use the correct prompts. But those of you that aren't getting into AI, you are going to fall behind. It's so easy. I feel like my old self back in the 90s when people told me I was crazy and that the internet was just a fad and it was never going to make it. I knew it was, but nobody listened. I'm telling you right now, this AI stuff, this is serious and it's here to stay and it's right at your fingertips. Chat GPT, I don't want to get too deep, but if you're listening, you're somewhat of a geek. No offense to me. I love, it's great to be a geek and know what you're doing nowadays. But Chat GPT only has info up until 2021. But if you use this Bard, it's bard.google.com, you'll find that it has everything up until today. It's a whole different animal. So, yeah, but it cracks me up. Every time I ask a question, it kind of gives me the other side. It's like a moderate response. All I want is the facts. I don't understand why even a search engine has to put its 2 cents into everything. I mean, seriously. Yeah, so this week I'm going to have a jerk of the week. Maybe I'll try to do one every week. Probably wouldn't be too hard to find. But this guy is selling trout, which I'm not sure where he got. I'm guessing he's gill netting them or somehow commercially catching the fish, and he's selling them online on his Facebook account. So what do you think happens? Of course, an ECO follows up and ends up, long story short, the guy was caught with like $750 worth of illegally caught trout that he was selling on the side of the road, but he would advertise it on Facebook. Imagine. Yeah, maybe on the side of the road. I got some trout that I poached, and I could give them to you, $4.99 a pound. Don't worry about it. Yeah, maybe I didn't have it on ice too long, but they're all freezer bagged. They're all in good shape. So, yeah, so he's, I don't know, they're giving him a fine. The truth is, I keep saying him. It could be a her, because the name of the moron was not given. It's always something when it comes to fishing. You hear all different kinds of stories. Last week we had Eddie Carroll on. Here's a kid talking about, I keep saying kid, he's in his 30s. And when I was in my 30s, I didn't think I was a kid. But now that I'm 68, he's a kid. Anyway, and he's talking about this paddleboard fishing. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then
Yes, George, I'm here right now waiting to hear from the leader of the Sharks. His name is Mr. Don Edward Mino, and he will be speaking for the Sharks. We have heard, it has been leaked to us, that the Sharks are threatening to start to bite people, so we have to hold on and listen in as the hold on. He's coming up to the microphone now.
For having me on. I was in that movie, Shark Tale, and what a bunch of shit that was. And I'm here to speak for all the sharks. I'm great. I've been through a lot of shit. I've been through everything. And I'm here to speak for the sharks about this new bill that two humans here in America are trying to pass about. It's called the Shark Bill. And you're going to try to stop us from eating fish that are caught on a fishing line. Who do you think we are? What do you think? We're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna eat whatever we want. We don't care what you people say. I mean, I got a good mind to call, get us all together and maybe we'll start eating humans. Yeah, what do you think? We can't do that? We're swimming right next to you. Don't even know where we are. So look. Here's the way I see it. Forget the shark attack because you're just wasting your time. What do you think you're going to teach us? Tell us what to do? We own the ocean. We're the apex predator. We eat anything we want. Or what do you think? You're going to get a bunch of guys in Washington, D.C. and pay money and waste for all kinds of money? It's not going to work. It's not going to. We're not going to let it work. So I'm here to speak for all of the sharks. I'm the only one who's recognized. You know, you got Charlie Tuna down here. He's here for the tuna. You got SpongeBob. He's down here for the sponges. I'm here for the sharks. And I'm telling you, if you pass the Shark Act, we're going to go past the fish that's on the line. And we're going to jump in the boat and start eating people. I mean, these are your choices. You people, you got to keep busy. You need other things to do, like stop people from finning us and stop people from laying those miles along. I see my buddy stuck on long lines. Nothing I can do about it. I got a good mind to, I go to work as a strike, and I got a good mind there. Off the sound the bell that it's time to start chomping on you guys. So think about these bills you want to pass. It could come back to bite you in the ears.
Well, there you have it, George. These sharks mean business. I, for one, will not be surfing in Montauk anytime soon. Back to you, George.
With my good friend, great angler, and also pretty good photographer, Paul Paluzzo.
How you doing, George?
Good. How you doing, Paul?
Very good. Very good.
Good. So I kind of follow you around on Facebook. You're definitely a Facebooker. And, you always manage to catch fish. I see you out there early in the season. You're surf fishing, you're catching bass right away in the spring. And you sure as heck get out a lot. And some of your photos with the whales and all have been pretty amazing over the last few years. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. One is, how do you see the fishing? How would you categorize the fishing in your area there in Moriches Bay and in that whole, that spot?
Well, right now in Mauritius, the fishing should start to light up really good the next coming weeks, especially in the first 2 weeks of October. Last night, I was out on my boat, and I was over here by Union Avenue and Ocean Avenue, and the peanut bunkers were leaving the canals. There was like pod after pod going towards the inlet, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to light everything up outside. So I'm hoping that we get a really good fall run on the stripers and the bluefish. Fluking right now seems to be really good. A lot of keepers to ratio to shorts. Yeah, right around the inlet area, right in the back in the East Cut and the West Cut.
Wow.
Last week I had 2 or 3 keepers in like an hour. I was amazed. I don't fluke that much because it used to be sea robin, and I couldn't deal with that. But right now at the end of the season, I don't know exactly when it ends, but the guys are out there every day, and they're catching some good sized fluke.
Yeah, well, there was a time years ago when Moriches Bay was one of that and North Fork were kind of the best areas to fluke and to find fluke. And, I don't know if you know that, I used to keep a boat over there for years. I was at Center Island Yacht, and then, but I also used to keep my boat at the Alma. I don't know if you remember the Alma fleet, but Ronnie Alma. I used to keep my boat over there, and, the fluke in there was fantastic. But I can remember, when I got out of there, I remember going there on a Sunday and saying I could walk from one end of this bay to the other on the boats. There were so many boats in the bay, and you're hooking fish in 3-4 foot of water. Sometimes they go flying over the other side of the boat, So,
that was what the problem was. I think so many people fish this area since I was a little kid. I've been here since 1968. So I've been, living here in Shirley and Mastic and Santa Moriches area. But I've seen, like you said, boats where you could walk on them. And then everybody used to be a clamor in the 70s and took all the clams out of the bay. I think that had a lot to do with why a lot of the population dropped, because everything lived off of the clams. The clams cleaned the water. The fish ate the clams, and they had everywhere to go, and it was fantastic.
Remember that flounder fishing over there?
Oh my God!
That was the best.
We used to catch flounders like when we were kids, like 2 or 3 at a time, and blowfish,
big ones over there,
and the blowfish and everything. When I was a kid, it was fantastic. We caught weak fish, blowfish, fluke, flounder, you name it.
Now you're seeing like kind of fish we weren't used to, right? Sheep's head and Lafayette's and all kinds of species we'd never seen before. So, but it is what it is. So, hey, tell me about. You seem to always manage to be around whales. Like, you get some really good pictures of whales, and some of them, it amazes me how these whales are like, maybe 50 or 100 yards off the beach, and the people on the beach aren't even looking half the time. I'm like, what are they thinking?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes, like there was one about a couple of weeks ago where I was right in front of Smith Point, and he or she, I don't know what kind of whale it was. It was about a 30-footer, and this humpback whale was just coming up right near the shore in 10 feet of water.
Wow.
And the reason they're doing this is the pods of bunker, the amount of bunker that we're seeing in the last couple of years went from like next to nothing to like almost all year round. Almost any time I go outside in the ocean, there's pods of bunker, which that never was 10, 12, 15 years ago. It came in June, and then they came in the fall, but now it's all season long. We got the sharks and the bluefin tunas are running through it. I mean, I'm talking a couple 100-pound tunas are blasting these pods of bunkers. My friends are getting aerial videos of these bluefin tuna, of the sharks attacking the bunker pods, and that's why the people are getting bit. The bait is so close to shore that the whales come in. I guess they come in from way out. I don't know, guess 30, 40 miles, wherever they live. They come all the way in. They eat the bunker. They do a couple jumps, lunge feeding. Sometimes they get happy and they fly out of the water, and then they go back. And people are wondering why a lot of these whales are dying. If they're crossing a lot of these shipping lanes and they're getting hit by these big boats. I mean, everyone thinks it's the windmills. I mean, I don't know how a windmill would, they're saying the sonar. It's not going to sonar off of the whales, but there's no science that's showing that. Most of these whales are getting hit by boats. I could see that. They are going pretty close to shore. I mean, even the regular anglers like me, we see the whales. I keep a distance of about 100 yards from them. I have a very good camera. It has a 300 millimeter zoom, and I can get close. Sometimes, one time, we were, me and my wife, this was 2-3 weeks ago, we had the boat on off, and we were just sitting. I saw this whale, and he came up, and all of a sudden he disappeared, and they stayed down for about 3 minutes, and you could just about count the seconds off. All of a sudden she comes back up. So she's right here again. So we just stayed there. She was diving down on the bottom, and I don't know what was down there, but you could see it marked on the screen, and she would eat whatever she would and come right back up. So we just sat there. She came within, I'll say, 25 feet of the boat, in the front of the boat. She just came up very slow and they are an amazing animal. Yeah, I really love them. I mean, they're just awesome. Now, most of the ones I'm seeing are like the size of my boat, like 30 footers. But every once in a while, you'll get the mama and the papa, the 60 footers come through.
They are amazing.
Yeah, those are you say, holy Jesus, when they come by your boat and they're twice the size of your boat, you kind of like,
they're a little intimidating, right?
Yeah. But most of the time, if you stay and you keep your distance with them and you kind of watch the way that they're going, especially in the shallow water, you could see their tail moving. So you could see if they're heading east, you go parallel with them. Don't cross their path. If they're going west, they do the same thing. Whatever way they're going, I try to just keep a distance and stay away with them and figure out where they're going to pop up next. If you see another pot of bunker, go over to that pot of bunker. Don't go in it, because sometimes they lunge feed, and I've seen videos where they came very close to hitting people's boats or landing on them, or stuff like that. It's
that one guy got sucked in. Imagine.
Oh
he jumped into. I mean, I'm done with that guy. Jumps into a bowl of bait when there's freaking whales everywhere. Right? All of a sudden, next thing he knows, he's in a whale. Well, no kidding. I mean, how stupid could you be?
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you a funny whale story, right? So I'm in Alaska at Tanaku Lodge. Your choice if you want to go to Alaska. And it was, it never really gets dark there until 2, 3 in the morning. And you're toast from fishing all day. You kind of shot. You had a couple drinks. So one of the mates, it's like 10 o'clock, and the mate goes, hey, have you ever taken a look at the whales at night? So we're like, no, me, my friend Steve, and the other people that were there. So come on, let's go. We're going to go take a ride. So I'm like, all right. So I figured we're going down on one of the, 30, 40-foot boats that he had there. But we go down there and we get in like this wooden dinghy that has like a 15-horsepower tiller, right? Oh, and this kid he definitely had too many, So first thing I do, now, you go in the water there, it's freaking 48 degrees. You don't have a long time. So I'm like, are you sure this is safe? Don't worry, I do it all the time. I'm like, well, where to preserve? Well, we don't need preserve. We're just going right there. I'm like, oh my God. So we get out, and I'm telling you, Paul, this is no exaggeration. I could have reached out and touched one of the whales. There were whales everywhere. There's whales all over the place there. So to find them is nothing. But literally, one of them came up, that blowhole went, and I felt like I was on the movie, like Moby Dick. I'm like, holy jeez. I'm like, I go, get me out of here. And you know what? They were laughing, and I didn't think it was funny at all. I'm like, what if the thing makes a mistake, knocks us in the water? We're dead. Anyway, they are pretty amazing. I will take you to task on one thing, though. It is the windmills. So one day I'm going to prove that to you. It's the sonar. And the reason they are getting hit, now I don't want to get into the whole thing, but you had 72 whales now that have died, right? 72. Have you ever heard that in your life? No.
I looked at the years, and they had the amount of them, and sometimes you could see 20, 30, 40,
never like this. And it all started years ago. It started actually in 2017. Everybody blames this administration, but they support it, but the thing is, this has been in the works for a long time. You don't just put up 3,000 Eiffel Towers in the ocean without planning it for a long, long time. So anyway, that sonar is throwing them off. I spoke to a scientist. I hope to have the podcast now in a couple of weeks, and he has proof that they're using sounds that they're not allowed to use. So anyway...
well, what are they doing with these sounds? Why would the hell would they be using...
So here's what they do. They look for... Everything's about money, right? So when you got to build one of these things, the shorter it is, the less it costs. So they go around looking for high peaks.
Hard surface.
And high peaks, so they don't have to build it so high. I know too much about it. So, and you of all people, you are going to be sick when this thing goes up. I don't know if you've seen photos or what it's going to look like, but they have industrialized the ocean. And the sad part is, I tell you, Paul, nobody in New York is doing anything about it. New Jersey, they already have lawsuits in place. Massachusetts, they're suing them. Everybody else has something going on, except us. We're just watching it happen. But
that seemed to quiet down, though. Thank God. I mean,
they just had one the other day. So we now have 73. And that one, I don't know if you saw the photo of it, but it's floating right next to the stanchion No,
I did not see.
Yeah. So
last one I saw was on the beach, and they buried it.
Yeah, no, this one is floating. And again, I'm not arguing ship strikes, but hey, look, it's funny. People are funny because, like you were saying about the bait. So the reason New York has the whales is because we have the bait. Jersey doesn't have these whales on their coast. You know why? Because there's no bait there. We protected our bait. But if you think back, there was a time you could get in a freaking rowboat, go out and kill a whale. So this, we killed all the whales for the oil or whatever.
Right. That was what they stopped this. The protection started in 1965. That was 58 years ago when I was born.
Exactly.
So now there's hundreds of thousands of them. I don't know how many humpback whales there are, but supposedly they all travel up north to go to Nova Scotia or somewhere up there to eat the krill, and then they make their way back down in the fall and go down to the southern waters to have babies. So it's kind of neat. I mean, that's why a lot of them are passing by. Like on this day today in 2020, I had a really, really good whale. He was right over here off of West Hampton, and he was lunge feeding in the bunker pods. And I didn't get out this morning. I was going to go, but I had a couple things to do. But
you had a podcast to do, right?
That and a couple other things I got to do later. So I didn't get a chance to run out.
So let me get
your missing a great day of pictures out there.
Oh, I'm sure. So let me get your take on the health of the striped bass fishery. I'm curious what you think. I've been asking a lot of guys, and I'm hearing different things, So I'm curious, what you've seen in comparison to other years.
When we first started chasing those striped bass around here, I'll say in the early 2000s, I would catch a lot of bass in the bay. I'm talking in the numbers of like 20 to 30.
I was fishing there then, actually, at the same time.
We were catching,
the bay
and
was amazing.
Most of them were 36 inches plus.
Well, it was 36 inches then.
Right,
yes.
But I'm telling you, they were.
Oh, I know.
I had to make my leader 36 inches, because if you didn't, you had that mono on there, because I didn't even have braid at that time.
No.
The tail would whack the mono, and it would bust off, and you would lose your fish.
We used to drag live flounder through that inlet.
Oh God! I never did that. But we did the bunker for sure. But we never did I never hooked a live flounder. If I caught one, it was a miracle. So
Well, you know what happened? One time I was there fishing that inlet, and I saw all these flounder on top of the water, like swimming. Yep. And I'm like, what the hell? Why are they up? And then all of a sudden I seen this bass come up and eat one. And at the time, I forget what the limit was. It was a small flounder. And I was like, I got to try it. And it became pretty popular. I'm sure a lot of people have done it.
Do you remember the Steve Petrie, that Petrie fish he used to have?
I swear I still have one.
I have one too. I used to throw that thing in the inlet, and I'm telling you, it used to work. I used to love that thing. I can't find it. He had a small one too. And I
have them both. I still have them.
I called him up one time. This was several years ago. I'm like, do you have any more of those? He's like, no, I stopped making them. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, he was good friends with my brother Phil. Yeah.
I used to see him at the shows, and I would always ask him, and he's like, yeah, you're the only one that still asks about that fish. Because the exact reason that you said, you see the flounder on top of the water in the inlet, and the striped bass are trying to mouth them and coming up, and they're going around them, and I would throw that thing in there, and I would catch the striped bass. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned lures that come back. I'm thinking about the Mojo spoon, right? Think about the spoons that we had 30 years ago. They were the same. I mean, I look at them. I have one of the old ones.
Wow.
And I don't know why I keep a lot of my old stuff. I'm probably never going to use it.
Me too. I like that too. I keep it stuff forever. Yep.
So, but yeah, that's funny. Now everybody's using them, and but anyway, so what do you think of the striped bass fishery now? I agree. Back then it was
size, better. Right? The size has gone down, and the amount in this bay right here in Mauritius has gone down dramatically. Outside though, on the bunker pods, the fishes seem to have gotten gigantic. Where most of the fish you hit out there are 30 pounders to 50 pounders,
right.
And if you catch it right, you can nail several of them.
Right.
So we're going from like 28 to to 28 pounds. You know, they're missing.
Yeah, the way they're managing the fishery is for us to eventually have a small fish fishery. Because that's what the commercials want, and they figure they'll keep us busy and we'll be fine with that. We're not allowed to keep a big fish anymore.
No,
so a little bit at a time, they're going to take that away. Yeah, I know. Look, I'm a conservationist. Well, I'm not going to say you know that, but I mean, I've always fought for striped bass. I didn't agree with the way they went around reducing the slot and calling it emergency and all that stuff. You know, I'm a believer. Go back to one fish at whatever size you want to make it. Make it 32 inches, one at 32 and over. And, you know, a lot of people, look, nobody likes the look of a 50-pound bass hanging, right? But the truth is that bass has produced a lot of fish already. And how much longer does it have to live? Aren't we better off protecting the smaller ones so they could spawn 3, 4, 5, 10 times, whatever? Anyway,
yes. I think they should protect them all, believe it or not. And, you know, maybe a couple of years of putting them as a game fish, and they'll be back all over the place. It worked in the 80s, and I couldn't believe the amount of fish that used to be in here because nobody really targeted them anymore.
Right.
And it went down dramatically. I do see it come back the last couple of years. We seem to see a few more than usual, and like the weak fish are showing up. You know, people are actually catching them again. They seem to be pretty easy. But I'm kind of glad. And the sea robins went down. And
I know. You know what? It's funny you say that because I see that even on the North Shore where I fish. It's traditionally paved. You know, there are a lot of sea robins around. Oh. And, you know, we'll get them like 2-3 pounds over here on the North Shore. But this year, there weren't a heck of a lot of them. There weren't a lot of fluke either. I mean, they were fluke, but they weren't. We don't get them the way we used to. You know, I view the Sound as like this big, giant bay. And a little bit at a time, what's happening here has happened in every bay. In Great South Bay, it happened in Moriches Bay. I mean, the cut helped Moriches Bay.
Dramatically. Oh, that thing cleared out the water. I think it brought back a lot of fish and a lot of
Fire Island needs one of those.
Got rid of that brown tide that used to be in here. Although right now from the last hurricane, the bay was still a little brown. It's still a little mixed up. I hope it clears out so that we could get some really good topwater fishing next week and see what's going on. So
years ago, when I had my boat there, I would fish a spot, was in the West Cut, and they called it the Onion Sack. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but definitely. The thing is gone, but yes, they did. I remember that little onion sack thing that was there. Yeah. Yeah. So I would set up anchor in there. Everybody thought I was nuts, and because it was like, you know, there's like that bar there that builds up, and everybody be passing by me, headed out, going fishing or coming back from fishing. And I'm like, they're just running over all of these bass. And I would cast lure. Chet from B&B Tackle, God rest his soul, he taught me that fishery. And I would anchor and I would throw bombers. And you would see those fish come running sideways. I so wish we had video and cameras back then. I mean, wow, those were great days. So you seem to agree with pretty much everyone that there's like this gap in the fishery. I don't know too many people that get too many keepers. I mean, you know, they're targeting 1 year class. I believe it's the 2015 year class. So, because that was supposedly the good YOY number, young of the year. But you know, I don't know. I don't think they're that good that they can just pick and choose. They just got to pick a number. Let's make it 1/32 with a good season and let everybody take a freaking fish to eat. I don't understand how they can't. So let me ask you this: what about bluefish over there? Have you been inundated with blues with all those bunker or no? No. This could be the other issue, which I think used to happen. Now, the bluefish used to be so thick over here that the whole month of September, I couldn't get a bass because I couldn't get through the bluefish. And I remember going out and I have videos and pictures of I can't tell you how many bluefish we would catch. And they would ball up the bait into like pods, and I mean really tight ones, and attack it and make all of the blood and everything come into the water.
and the bass would be underneath or around it or whatever, and they would scoop up all the rest of the stuff. So without the bluefish corralling a lot of this stuff up, the bass sometimes come, the bunker pods get spread out from a storm. They willy-nilly, you'll see them here and you'll see one there, but no concentration of them where you could, get one or two off of the pod. So it last couple of years, that was a pain in the neck. But the bluefish, if you don't catch them in the first week of May, when they first come through here in the bay, those big gorillas. Oh yeah, they disappear, and then now they're catching the snappers right now. The kids they're all around the docks.
Yeah, now the sound is loaded with big bluefish, and I'm talking about I think the WICC winner this year, I think it was a 20-pound fish, which was the first time in like forever since I can remember.
I'm just as going, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty big fish, That thing's got to kick your butt. I had a kid on the podcast last week, and this kid paddleboard fishes, right? That's like a new thing now. And he thought he hooked up on a bass, or he was in a bluefish tournament. Sorry, he thought he had a blowfish. He had like a 7-foot shark. The thing comes up next to the paddleboard. I'm like, this kid is out of his mind. I had him on. I had him a good. He good kid. You can tell, conservationist kind of kid you want fishing. So, so what are your plans now as far as a fall? You don't really do a lot of black fishing or sea bass, do you?
No, not really. I'm not really good at anchoring up on the wrecks, to be honest with you. With my boat, I'd rather I'm more of a run and gun type of fisherman. Like, I love to chase the albies. Like, that's one of the things.
Nothing like that.
You hit them right inshore on a little 4,000 reel, and you're in for a really good fight. The lines is ripping out. It's
all right, so do me a favor. How are you? I'm going to tell you the way I do it. I use a 2500, right? I use a 20-pound braid tied to a 10-pound fluoro, and I throw the smallest deadly dick that I can find, and I crank it as hard as I can, like across the top.
Yeah, I do the same thing, but I have 30-pound tests. I usually use a 4,000 reel because I have a whole bunch of them.
Right.
And I try to get up, like if they're coming like towards me, I try to get ahead of them and cast it at them and reel it. That seems to be the easiest way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The best feeling is when you see that one peel off. You ever see that? Oh, my God. You go, okay. You see him peel off and he's going at it. That to me is one of the best rushes in all fishing. It's actually the way I like freshwater fishing. So, because I get that a lot in freshwater.
This one, I still have the vision of the albie. I use this very small little Al Gags popper. I don't know where I got it. It's old. And I usually see them at the shows. They're basically giving them away. Nobody wants these little tiny poppers. And we was out in Montauk and casted it out to the pod of albies, and I'm reeling it in. And I could still see the albie, the biggest albie I ever caught, out of the water, crashes into the plug. And I nailed it. It was on Adrian's boat, Captain Adrian's boat, and Angelo Peluso was with us. This albie, I should have probably took it in and waited, but we throw them all back.
Yeah.
It was way over 10 pounds. It was awesome. I caught on this little plug. I always keep them on my boat just in case they get really crazy. The albies, you could get them on a popper, but you have to have a little white treble on the back with the hair. Yeah,
I would think you're going to need something small like that because, that's the only way that I have ever been able to catch them. And then, like sometimes, they show and they kind of stay, but so often they're chasing bait all over the place and they pop up here, you run over there and then all of a sudden they pop up where you just move. You're like, I should have stayed there, but
if you watch it, sometimes they do a circle. If you do stay there, they come back.
I agree with you. It's funny you say that because I did notice a pattern a couple of years ago. Yeah. I'm like, I wonder if I stay, and it did, but it didn't work the next time I went. But that's fishing for you.
Every time you think you figure them out, it changes.
Yeah, yeah. So let me, if you were, so I got a friend of mine. He's got a nice, he's got a 31 Steiger somewhere over there in Mauritius. And he's not the most successful fisherman. He's a good fisherman, but he's not great. So what would you suggest that he be, what should he be targeting from here on out?
Right now?
Yeah.
Right now? Right. At this very moment, the bass and the bluefish should start to show up again. The albies should be out there too. I know they're getting them in Montauk. I know they're getting them out east. I did see them here a week before the hurricane. By the time I was playing with a whale with my wife. That one that came up really close to the boat. Yeah. And all of a sudden these albies popped up. I had nothing really ready. So by the time I rigged up all my stuff and got it going, they were gone. But I did see them. Yeah. I did run out the next day. Nothing. I know
they were to the west because I was fishing south of Jones, and where we were fluking, there were guys killing them. They were freaking everywhere. You know,
yeah, and they're doing really good in Montauk now on the albies and the striped bass. I see that guy Steve Mizzy. He's been catching them again. So
do me a favor. Let's get back to let's say the guy's green and he can get whatever he wants, whatever he wants.
Live bait. If you could get live bait, if you could catch it, or you could buy the spot from the guy over here in Tom Corselli. He's got his little spots over here in I think it's in the Hearts Cove Marina. I'm not sure which one he's in. I forget, but he's got those live baits. If you could get them on a hook and get them down in the inlet,
So what are they peanuts?
You're definitely going to catch peanuts. I love peanuts. Peanuts is great right now. Yeah. Speaking about live bait, that's what me and Gill used to do. We would go around, we'd net the peanuts or the bunker, the adult bunker, and we'd go drifting through the inlet or over by the breakers. That used to be his thing.
I know.
Net a bunch of those peanuts, and you go right over to the corner of the breakers when they weren't crazy, when the breakers, 2 or 3 foot. It gets a little crazy. You don't want to play in there.
Yeah.
Pitch one in there, and 2 seconds, the thing is gone.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know what? Now that you mention it, for those of you folks listening, I met Paul as well as so many people I still see and speak with through my website, norris.com. It was literally like the first website ever. There was no Facebook or anything in those days. And we put together some crew. I mean, I look on Facebook now and everyone is still friends. And they all met through Northeast. And there was one guy there who we were all friends with. We all managed to get to fish with him every now, at least once or twice or whatever. And he was the aquaholic, Gill Hubbs, and he was, sadly, Gill went through a tough time, but let me tell you, he was a warrior. And he ended up, he passed away. He died of the same deadly, horrible disease that my brother died of. And, my memories of Gill were he was always a great guy, always fun, nothing. I never saw him with all the shit that goes on websites, and especially Northeast in the day. He never, responded, retaliated, in any way. And he was a great guy. And
he sure was.
So Paul, and I think I mentioned to you, all the years I'm fishing with my son, I mentioned to him about Gill, and he goes, I still, I have my personal best on his boat. And I was like, what? I kind of forgot it. And he goes, yeah, remember I had that 30-something pounder. And my son, he had maybe 10. And so those, I have many memories of Gill. And I'm sure you'd like to say a few words about him.
Oh, definitely. He was the main guy that used to do live bait over here. If you wanted to catch a big fish, live bait is the way to go. And he was the master at finding out where these bunker were, no matter what time of the year. Even when they leave the canals and they disappear, he still knew where they were. I mean, this was before there was pods outside. We could just go and snag a couple and run back to the inlet. They were be in these little coves up the thing, and he would be like, there they are, right there. And I'd be like, where? Right there. I can't. He said, I'm telling you, they're right there. Throws a net, boom. we get a whole bunch of bunker, go to the inlet, and we were catching, big size striped bass all the time. He always caught the bait. He would go out extra early, especially if he had people on his boat, like 3 o'clock in the morning, just to make sure that he got that live bait and that those people were going to catch some really decent sized fish. Right. He was a master at that stuff. He was a really good guy. We did a lot of fishing side by side for years over here. So I'm going to really miss him. He was a good friend. We did Florida trips together and caught some big tarpon.
Yeah, I saw those photos. I was like, hey, I'm jealous of you guys.
Oh, his brother Warren put together a trip for us that was unbelievable. We 5 days of fishing. It was nonstop.
Well, that's great.
I don't know how he did it, and the cost, how he put it together. It was just, I was glad that they invited me to go.
Yeah, really. I tell you, I know that feeling. So I went through a little bout of it myself, but luckily I came out on the good side. And
keep going for those screenings, man. Those things are very important.
Yeah,
a lot of people our age, they don't do anything, and then that guy's gone. That guy's gone. I had a friend. He just died 2 days ago. Michael Lake.
Sorry,
he had cancer too. I know. Yeah. Great guy. He's a family man. You would never think anything was wrong with the guy. Happiest guy ever. And he got cancer. It's a big, long battle like Gill.
Yeah. And, well, look, we're all going to miss Gill. And I know I missed the good old days in Mauritius. You guys kind of make it up on Facebook, but
yeah, we kind of still hang out together.
I can't. Yeah. You see me. I'm on there very rare. Maybe once a week I get on Facebook and I check how everybody's doing. I'll probably get into it a little bit more only because the New York Angler kind of is asking for it. So, but, we're growing over there. I love the group. There's a lot of the guys there that used to be on Maurice. So it's cool. It's kind of
it's nice that it's the people's names too. Like,
they all got their own names back.
It's not the alcoholic. It's Gill Hubbs.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know who the hell you're talking to. Sometimes you have no idea.
Oh God, it's still that way, right?
No, but at least you can see their names. This is Carrie, and this is.
Oh yeah. No,
DJ,
I know that.
And this,
But look, I don't know if you saw. So last week, and everybody's busting my balls. About 2 weeks ago. Now, this is the third time this has happened to me. So somebody sends me a note saying that your account is hacked. Everybody thinks that I was hacked. It's not hacked. Somebody made up a copy of me, right? They take your shit off the site, off of Facebook, and then they make their own page, and then they go and they look, somehow they can see your friends list or whatever, and they contact all your friends and ask them to sign up with them. And then the next thing you know, now picture it, I have no idea this is happening. People think I'm asking them for money. So I get a phone call, and it's a friend of mine, he goes, George, if you were in bad shape, you give me a call. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, well, why would you ever go on Facebook asking for $5,000? I go, what are you talking about? So I look at the post, and it's me, or it looks like me, right? Right. And saying that I got hurt and that I don't have the right medical coverage and I need $5,000 to get this work done. Oh, and I'm like, I'm looking at this thing. Facebook took it down pretty quick, but... So those are my experiences on...
you got to watch that. You just got to watch who you friend.
Yeah.
Some of these people are crazy hackers. I don't even know what, like you said, they're trying to get money out of people. I had the similar thing, but they didn't ask for money. But some guy...
none of that happened on Maurice.
Right, yeah.
They just called you every name under the sun. And,
right.
And would threaten you. Remember good old Jack Cohen? Oh, my God. He started out as Megalodon. And then we had some great guys. Come on. And the best one who I wish till this day, I don't know who it is.
Who is the professional?
Exactly. I want him on my podcast every single week. Who is
I am the professional. I won't tell you if I was really me.
But you know what? We couldn't be as good as him. That's the problem. I actually went on Maurice reading some of his stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if I can get somebody to do something like that. But you can't. That has to be in you,
Yeah, I don't know who it was. I never found out. I don't know if it's a Glenn ever, knows who it is.
No, he thinks he knows, but he won't even tell me. And, he's running my site.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's going to be listening to this, Glenn. All right, Glenn, we know you know who the professional is.
You better come clean there, Mr.
Give it up. Give it up. That was the best storyteller on the face of the planet. If he had a YouTube channel back then, oh, my God, that was so great.
I fished it hard for 2 hours off the bottom.
Oh, yeah. He's really, he was great. But anyway, we're never going to know who it is. But kind of like we're never going to find out where Hopper's buried. Same thing.
No, there was a bunch of characters. They were all good. A lot of the guys were good. Remember, we used to have the barbecues, and we'd go to the beach, and everyone would show up. What was his name? Mojo from.
He's still with me on New York Angler. Mojo's there. He is the best, man.
Him and his wife.
He's got a video up there. You would die laughing. He gets boarded by DEC, right? So they pull up to the boat, and he whips out this freaking stack of cards, and they're all business cards of different DEC offices. And he's showing them to the guy, right, one after the next. And the guy goes, "What, do you collect these?" He was like, "No, I know Bobby got the Blas, and Joey this guy, and that guy." And I'm telling you, man, that guy couldn't wait to get out of there. He was like, "Here, take my card. I got to go," But, all right, Paul, look, this has been great. And you and I, we all got to get together one day. I'm going to get that Norris crew back together. We're going to do one of those crazy charters.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I'd like to do another Blackfish trip. That was fun. That's when I used to go.
Those were the best.
We went on those. Those were the good days.
With Desi. Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw Desi the other day. I saw him at the Bradstock over here.
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
seen him in years. Yeah, he got married. I didn't even know he got married.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, he's on Facebook, I would think.
I mean, I didn't see. Sometimes if you don't, like their things, they don't show up in your feed all the time.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I haven't seen or heard him in years.
Yeah.
And then I ran into him. I was like, Desi,
Yeah, he's doing well. He had a little health scare too, but he's great now. So
that's what he told me.
So anyway, all right. So it's go look for the bass and the blues, and the albies should be showing any day. We got a rough weekend coming up. It's going to blow. They said over the weekend. I think it's going to turn on next week. I think it's really going to turn on.
That's when I got on my reports. It was like the 25th on. Everything went crazy.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see what's going on. I wish I was out there right now. So.
All right, great. Hey, look, make sure you stop by NewYorkAngler.com when you get a chance. And for those of you that don't know Paul, we used to call him Pablo. That's how we knew him. And did they still call you that? Oh, okay. I stopped because I thought
people don't even know me as Paul. They know me as Pablo.
Oh, that's great. That was the beauty of Northeast. So, all right. Hey, look, thanks again. It was great speaking with you, and we definitely got to do it again.
Anytime. I'll let you know. You'll see my pictures in the fish when I'm catching them.
All right, great. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Before we go, make sure you send me some kind of pictures or something so I can add it to the podcast.
Sure. Whatever one you want. Just let me know.
Just send me a couple. Yeah, send me a whale and you with an actual fish.
You got it.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you again soon, and thanks a million.
No problem. Thanks, George.
All right. Well, that wraps it up, folks. I'd like you all for tuning in. Please subscribe to this podcast. Reach out to me at george@nyangler.com or go to nyangler.com and feel free to ask me any question you like. Next week, we're going to have a really good show. We have a new weekly guest. His name is Joey Guggen, and you're all going to love him. You've all met someone just like him before in the past, and I'm looking forward to introducing him to our listeners. I'm also going to have on Tim Regan. You have him and my other good friend over at the Fish Guy Photos provide us with some of the most unbelievable photography, marine photography we've ever seen in the history of this state, beyond a doubt. So, I'm going to have him, myself. I know I'm going to be asking about a drone. I want to get my own drone, and he seems to be a really good I mean, doesn't seem to be. He's excellent. So tune in next week. Thanks again. Please subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And get out and enjoy this fall fishery right after this big blow come in. Things are going to really turn on over the next few weeks. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, God bless America.
Thank you for listening to the New York Angler Podcast. You can find more on fishing New York waters at nyangler.com, your secret spot online.